The chandelier above Marcus's head caught the light perfectly as he stood at the center of our living room, surrounded by 50 of our closest friends and family. The banner behind him read "Happy 40th Birthday" in gold letters I'd spent 3 hours putting up that morning. He was smiling. That smile I'd fallen in love with 15 years ago. That smile that had promised me forever in front of God and 200 witnesses at Ebenezer Baptist Church. That smile that had lied to me for 7 years. "Baby, you really outdid yourself this time," he said, pulling me close, his Armani cologne filling my nostrils. The same cologne I'd smelled on someone else's pillow 3 weeks ago. I smiled back. "Oh, sweetheart. You have no idea what I've done." The room was packed. His mother, Dolores, sat in the corner like a queen on her throne, her church hat still on because she'd come straight from afternoon service. His brothers, Terrence and David, were already 3 drinks deep, laughing too loud about something that probably wasn't funny. My mother stood by the kitchen door, her eyes never leaving my face because she knew. She always knew everything. And then there was Jasmine. His assistant. Standing by the punch bowl in a dress that cost more than my first car, her hand resting on her stomach in that way pregnant women do when they think nobody's watching. But I was watching. I'd been watching for 3 weeks. And tonight, everyone else would watch too. "Speech! Speech!" someone yelled. Probably Uncle Roosevelt, who never missed an opportunity to hear himself or anyone else talk. Marcus raised his glass of Hennessy. All right. Y'all know I'm not good with words." "That's the truth," his brother Terrence hollered. "But I just want to say, I'm blessed. I got a beautiful wife who holds me down. I got a good job. I got family who shows up. A man can't ask for more than that." The room erupted in amens and applause. I felt my mother's hand on my shoulder. "Vanessa. You sure about this?" I didn't turn around. I've never been more sure about anything in my life. "Baby, what you're about to do, there's no coming back from it." I finally turned to look at her. Her eyes were wet, but her jaw was set. She understood. She'd lived through worse with my father, and she taught me one thing above all else: a woman can forgive a lot of things, but she should never forgive a man who makes her feel like she's not enough when he's the one who's nothing. "That's the point, Mama." I picked up the remote control for the TV. 82 inches of 4K resolution, bought with money I'd earned as a senior financial analyst at Coca-Cola headquarters. Money he didn't know I had because he'd stopped asking about my career years ago, too busy building his empire and apparently his second family. "Excuse me, everyone." My voice cut through the noise like a knife through silk. "I have a special birthday presentation for my husband." Marcus beamed at me. "Baby, you didn't have to do all this." "Oh, I really did." I pressed play. The first image that appeared on the screen was a house. A beautiful 2-story brick home in Alpharetta, about 30 minutes from our own home in Buckhead. The address appeared at the bottom of the screen, 4721 Willow Creek Drive. The room went silent. "That's a nice house," someone said nervously. The next image was a mortgage document. Marcus's name. And another name, Jasmine Nicole Patterson. I heard a glass drop. Someone gasped. But I wasn't looking at anyone except Marcus. His smile was frozen, cracking at the edges like old paint. "Vanessa," he started. "Don't." My voice was steady, but my heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my teeth. "Don't you dare say my name right now." The next image was a birth certificate. A little boy named Marcus Elijah Patterson Jr. born 2 years ago at Northside Hospital. Father, Marcus Dwayne Patterson. Mother, Jasmine Nicole Patterson. His mother's church hat literally fell off her head. "Oh my God," someone whispered. "Oh my God." But I wasn't done. The screen changed to show a video. Security camera footage from 3 weeks ago, the night Marcus told me he was going to Charlotte for a business conference. The footage showed him pulling into the driveway of that beautiful house in Alpharetta. It showed Jasmine opening the door, her belly round with their second child. It showed a little boy running out to meet him, calling him Daddy. The sound was crystal clear. I'd paid good money for that surveillance equipment. Daddy! Daddy! You're home! Marcus's voice, warm and loving. Hey, little man. Daddy missed you. Let me see how big you got. Jasmine's voice, Marcus, dinner's almost ready. Your mom called, she wants to know if we're coming to Atlanta for the big birthday party next week. Marcus, laughing, nah, that's at Vanessa's house. You know I gotta play that part for a little longer. Just until the business deal closes. Then we can finally be together for real. The video kept playing, but nobody was watching anymore. All eyes were on the room, on Marcus, frozen like a statue, on Jasmine, backing toward the door, on me, standing in the middle of my living room with 15 years of marriage burning to ash around me. Mama? Marcus's mother's voice was barely a whisper. Mama, tell me this isn't true. Dolores didn't answer. She wouldn't even look at her. And that's when I understood something that broke me almost as much as the affair itself. His mother knew. She'd known the whole time. 3 weeks earlier, I thought I had the perfect life. We lived in a beautiful 5-bedroom home in Buckhead, one of Atlanta's most prestigious neighborhoods. I'd worked my way up from a junior accountant to a senior financial analyst at one of the biggest companies in the world. Marcus owned a successful real estate development company, or so I thought. We had no children, not by choice, but after 5 miscarriages, we'd stopped trying. The last one, 4 years ago, had almost killed me. Physically and emotionally. Marcus had been my rock through all of it. Or so I believed. Some couples just aren't meant to have children, he'd told me after the 5th loss, holding me while I cried in our hospital room. But we have each other, and that's enough for me. I'd loved him even more for saying that. I'd thought it meant he'd accepted our reality, that he was content with our life together. Now I knew the truth, he'd already made other arrangements. The day I found out started like any other Thursday. I was working from home, finishing up a quarterly report, when I realized I'd left my laptop charger at the office. Marcus was supposedly at a property showing, so I drove his car, mine was in the shop, figuring I'd be back before he noticed. The charger was in the center console. So was a receipt from a jewelry store I'd never heard of. And a note, in handwriting I didn't recognize. Can't wait for you to meet Marcus Jr. He asks about you every day. Your other baby is growing strong, doctor says probably a girl this time. Soon we'll all be together. Love, Jay. I sat in that parking garage for 45 minutes, reading that note over and over, trying to make it mean something other than what it obviously meant. Then I drove home, put the note back exactly where I'd found it, and started planning. I am a financial analyst. I find patterns. I uncover truths hidden in numbers. I spent 15 years building a career on my ability to see what other people missed. My husband should have known better than to lie to me. The first thing I did was hire a private investigator. Not just any PI, I hired Barbara Watkins, a former FBI agent who specialized in domestic cases. She cost me $8,000 for 3 weeks of work. Worth every penny. While Barbara dug into Marcus's life, I started my own investigation at home. His phone was password protected, but he used the same password for everything, our anniversary date. Predictable. Inside, I found years of text messages with Jasmine, a whole hidden email account, and a photo gallery that made me physically sick. Pictures of a little boy who looked exactly like my husband. Birthday parties I was never invited to. Christmas mornings in a house I didn't know existed. And Jasmine, always Jasmine, glowing, pregnant, happy, wearing the life I was supposed to have. They'd met 7 years ago at a real estate conference in Miami. She was a junior agent at a competing firm. According to their texts, they'd started sleeping together within a month. She'd gotten pregnant within a year. And for the past 5 years, Marcus had been living a double life. Monday through Thursday, the devoted husband in Buckhead. Friday through Sunday, the family man in Alpharetta. His business trips were visits to his other home. His late nights at the office were dinners with his other family. And his mother, who I'd treated like my own for 15 years, who I'd nursed through her knee replacement surgery, who I'd driven to church every Sunday while Marcus was too busy, had known about all of it. She'd met the baby. She'd blessed the other house. She'd sat at that Thanksgiving table while I was home alone, believing Marcus was handling a property emergency. The betrayal wasn't just my husband. It was everyone I'd trusted. My mother wanted me to confront him immediately. "Baby, you pack his bags and you throw them on that lawn," she said, pacing my kitchen while I sat at the counter, numb. "You don't let a man like that sleep in your bed one more night." "Mama, I need to think." "Think about what?" "He got a whole other family. A whole other woman. A whole other life. What is there to think about?" "Everything." She stopped pacing and looked at me with the same expression she'd had when I was 16 and told her I was staying out past curfew. "Vanessa Marie. What are you planning?" "I don't know yet." But I did know. I just wasn't ready to say it out loud. See, if I confronted Marcus right then, he would do what men like him always do: lie, deflect, minimize, blame. He would make me feel crazy. He would make me doubt what I'd seen with my own eyes. And somehow, because this is how these things always go, he would make it my fault. If you hadn't been so focused on your career. If you hadn't lost all those babies. If you had been enough. I couldn't give him that opportunity. I needed him powerless. I needed him exposed. I needed everyone to see him for what he really was, so there was no room for manipulation, no space for his silver tongue to work its magic. I needed to destroy him. Barbara, my PI, delivered her final report on a Tuesday afternoon. We met at a coffee shop in Midtown, far enough from Buckhead that nobody would recognize me. "It's worse than you thought," she said, sliding a manila envelope across the table. I'd stopped being surprised by then. "How much worse?" "The house in Alpharetta is worth $1.2 million. He bought it 6 years ago, right after your third miscarriage. He's been siphoning money from his business accounts, and it looks like some from your joint accounts too, to fund his other life." My hand trembled as I opened the envelope. Bank statements. Property records. Credit card receipts. All of it documented, dated, organized. "There's more," Barbara continued. "His business isn't doing as well as he claims. He's in debt, significant debt. The only reason he's stayed afloat is because of the money he's been taking from your accounts and because Jasmine's father is a silent investor in his company." "Her father?" "Gerald Patterson. He's a developer out of Savannah. Old money. He's been bankrolling Marcus's projects for the past 4 years, ever since his grandson was born." I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. "So he's not even a self-made man. He's living off me and his mistress's daddy." "Pretty much, yeah." I closed the envelope. "Barbara, I need one more thing." "Name it." "I need surveillance footage. Of him at that house. With them. Something I can show in court, and something I can show at his birthday party." She raised an eyebrow. "His birthday party?" "I'm throwing him a surprise. The biggest surprise of his life. My mother always said God don't like ugly, but sometimes you gotta get a little ugly to make things right. For the next 3 weeks, I played the perfect wife. I cooked his favorite meals. I smiled when he came home late. I pretended to believe his lies about business trips and late meetings. I even let him touch me, though it made my skin crawl. All the while, I was preparing. First, I contacted a divorce attorney. Not just any attorney, I hired Lydia Washington, one of the most ruthless family law specialists in Georgia. She'd represented athletes' wives, politicians' mistresses, and at least one reality TV star. Her win record was impeccable, and she was not known for mercy. "You want to maximize your settlement," she said during our first meeting. "I want him to have nothing left." She smiled. "I like you already." Together, we built a strategy. The house in Buckhead was in both our names, but I'd put down the majority of the down payment with money from my own savings. My 401k was separate. My investments were separate. Almost everything of real value in our marriage was mine. What was his? Debt. A failing business. A second home mortgaged to the hilt. A mistress who would become a liability the moment the truth came out. "He's going to try to claim you knew about the affair and condoned it," Lydia warned. "That's what they always do. You need to establish that you discovered this recently and that you're devastated." "I am devastated." "Good. Stay that way, publicly. Save the revenge for the party." Planning Marcus's 40th birthday party became my full-time job. I told everyone it was because I loved him so much, because I wanted to celebrate our years together, because he deserved something special. Nobody questioned it. Why would they? I was the devoted wife. The one who'd stood by him through business struggles. The one who'd forgiven him for not being around enough. The one who'd never complained, never demanded, never asked for more than he was willing to give. Poor Vanessa, they probably thought. So loyal. So patient. So clueless. The guest list was strategic. I invited his entire family, his mother, his brothers, his aunts and uncles and cousins. I invited our friends, especially the ones who thought Marcus walked on water. I invited his business partners, the ones who believed his success story. And I invited Jasmine. She didn't know it was me who sent the invitation. It came through Marcus's office email, one of the accounts I now had access to, from his assistant requesting her presence at a business mixer at our home on the same night as the party. Marcus had no idea she was coming. The surprise wasn't just for him. 3 days before the party, Marcus told me he loved me. We were in bed, and he'd just come home from what I knew was a weekend with Jasmine and their children. He smelled like a different house. A different life. But he held me and whispered into my hair, "Baby, I don't tell you enough, but you're my rock. I couldn't do any of this without you." I wanted to laugh. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. Instead, I said, "I know, baby. I know. I mean it. You've been so patient with me. With the business. With everything. I'm gonna make it up to you. I promise. You don't have to make anything up to me. But I want to. After this deal closes, this big one I've been working on, things are gonna change. We're gonna take that vacation to Italy you've always wanted. We're gonna slow down. Spend more time together." He was lying. The big deal was Gerald Patterson's latest investment. The plan wasn't to spend more time with me, it was to finally leave me with nothing and go be with his real family. Barbara had found the emails. The exit strategy. The divorce filing he'd already had drafted. He was going to serve me papers 3 weeks after his birthday, right after he'd secured the money. I was supposed to be blindsided. Cast aside. Left broken while he walked into the sunset with Jasmine. He didn't know I was about to turn his plan inside out. I woke up at 5 a.m. on the day of the party. Marcus was still asleep, snoring softly, completely unaware that his entire world was about to collapse. I stood in the doorway of our bedroom and watched him for a long moment. This man I'd loved for 15 years. This man I'd given everything to. This man who'd held me through 5 miscarriages and told me I was enough, while secretly building a family with someone else. I'd spent weeks trying to understand the why of it. Was I not beautiful enough? Not supportive enough? Not enough of a mother because I couldn't carry his children? But standing there that morning, I realized the truth. It was never about me. It was about him. His ego. His entitlement. His belief that he deserved more than any one woman could give him. Some men are born faithful. Some men learn fidelity through hard lessons. And some men like Marcus, will take until there's nothing left. I wasn't going to let him take anything else from me. By 4 p.m., the house was ready. The caterers had set up stations in the kitchen. The DJ was testing his equipment in the living room. The banner was hung, the balloons were arranged, and the 82-inch TV was loaded with my presentation. My mother arrived early, dressed in the elegant navy blue dress I'd bought her for the occasion. She looked at my face, calm, composed, determined, and shook her head. "I still can't believe you're doing this. You raised me to never let anyone make me small, Mama. I'm just following your advice. I raised you to have sense too. There's gonna be fallout from this. His family. The community. Everybody's gonna have an opinion. Let them. I've been quiet my whole marriage. Tonight, I speak." She pulled me into a hug. "Whatever happens, I'm proud of you. You hear me? You are worth more than anything that man could ever give you or take from you." "I know, Mama. I finally know." The guests started arriving at 5:30. I greeted everyone with a smile, the perfect hostess, while inside I was counting down the minutes. Marcus was at the barber, his brother Terence had taken him as part of the surprise, and he was due back at 6 o'clock. At 5:45, Jasmine walked through the door. She was wearing a red dress that hugged her pregnant belly. Her makeup was flawless. Her smile was expectant, probably thinking she was about to see her man at some fancy business event. Then she saw the banner. The balloons. The photos of Marcus and me on the walls. The smile disappeared. "Can I help you?" I asked, my voice sweet as poisoned honey. She stared at me, recognition dawning. You're Vanessa." "I am. And you must be Jasmine. The woman my husband bought a house with. The woman pregnant with my husband's second child. The woman who's been sleeping in my husband's bed while I've been home alone, thinking I was the problem." The room had gone silent. Everyone was watching. I didn't," she stammered. "Don't." I held up my hand. "Don't you dare stand in my house and lie to me. You knew. You knew he was married. You knew about me. You just didn't care. He said you were separated. He said you were getting divorced. He." "Surprise!" The shout came from the front door. Marcus's brothers were escorting him in, a blindfold over his eyes, laughing and joking. All right, what's all this about?" They pulled off the blindfold. Marcus saw the party first. Then he saw the guests. Then he saw me. And then he saw Jasmine. The blood drained from his face so fast I thought he might faint. "Vanessa. Baby. I can explain." "Oh, I'm sure you can," I said, picking up the remote. "But I think I'd rather show everyone my explanation first." The TV flickered to life. For the next 15 minutes, no one moved. No one spoke. No one even seemed to breathe. The photos. The documents. The videos. The surveillance footage. The text messages displayed on screen, one after another. "I can't wait to marry you, baby. As soon as I get rid of Vanessa, we'll be together for real. My mom loves the house. She said it's perfect for our family. Thank your dad for the investment. Tell him I'll take care of you and Marcus Jr., I promise. Don't worry about Vanessa. She doesn't suspect anything. She's too focused on her career to notice what's right in front of her face. Every lie. Every betrayal. Every moment he'd chosen someone else over me, laid bare for everyone to see. His mother started crying. His brothers were shouting. Jasmine had collapsed into a chair, mascara running down her face. And Marcus, my husband, the love of my life, the man I'd trusted with everything, just stood there, mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. Vanessa, he finally managed. Please. You have to understand. I understand perfectly, I said. I understand that while I was mourning the babies we lost, you were making them with someone else. I understand that while I was working 60-hour weeks to pay for this house, you were using my money to buy another one. I understand that while I was loving you with everything I had, you were laughing at me behind my back. I wasn't laughing. You said I was too focused on my career to notice. You said she was just Vanessa. Like I was nothing. Like 15 years meant nothing. The room flinched. I'd never raised my voice like that before. Not once in 15 years of marriage. Marcus had probably thought I was incapable of it. He was wrong about a lot of things. Marcus tried to salvage the situation. Of course he did. That silver tongue that had charmed me at a networking event 15 years ago went into overdrive. Baby, listen to me. Jasmine, she was a mistake. A moment of weakness. But I love you. I've always loved you. You bought her a house, Marcus. I was going to sell it. I was trying to end things. You have a child with her. A son. Named after you. He had no answer for that. And your mother knew. I turned to Dolores, who was trying to disappear into the corner. You knew the whole time, didn't you? You met his son. You blessed his other home. You sat at Thanksgiving dinner with them while I was alone, and you never said a word. Dolores's chin trembled. He's my son. What was I supposed to do? You were supposed to tell me the truth. You were supposed to remember that I am your daughter too, or at least I thought I was. I took care of you, Dolores. I drove you to every doctor's appointment. I stayed up with you when you couldn't sleep. I treated you like my own mother when mine lives an hour away. And this is how you repay me? I didn't want to hurt you. Well, you hurt me anyway. You all did. The room was thick with tension. I could see people looking at each other, making calculations, choosing sides. Some were edging toward the door, trying to escape the carnage. Others were frozen, too horrified to move. And then Jasmine spoke. He told me you knew. I turned to her. Excuse me? She stood up, one hand on her belly, tears still streaming down her face. He told me you knew about us. He said you had an arrangement. He said you stayed married for appearances, but you both saw other people. He said you were okay with it. For a moment, I couldn't speak. The audacity. The absolute, unbelievable audacity of this man. And you believed him? I wanted to believe him. I loved him. I thought. She broke down, sobbing. I thought he was going to marry me. I thought we were going to be a family. A real family. I looked at her, really looked at her, and something shifted in my chest. She was young. Maybe 28, 29. Young enough to be naive. Young enough to believe the lies of a charming man who told her exactly what she wanted to hear. She wasn't innocent. She'd made choices. But she was also a victim, in her own way. A pawn in Marcus's game. Jasmine, I said quietly. He was never going to marry you. He was using you. Using your father's money. Using you to have the children I couldn't give him. And when he was done with you, when your father's money ran out or when someone younger came along, he would have done to you exactly what he's done to me. She shook her head. No. No, he loves me. He doesn't love anyone but himself. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. But now you know. Marcus was still trying to talk his way out of it when my lawyer walked in. Lydia Washington was tall, elegant, and radiating the kind of cold competence that made corporate executives sweat. She was wearing a black suit that probably cost more than most people's rent, and she carried a briefcase like it contained a nuclear launch code. Mr. Patterson, she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. My name is Lydia Washington. I represent your wife in the matter of your pending divorce. Marcus's face went gray. Divorce? Vanessa, baby, we can work this out. You've been served. Lydia handed him a manila envelope. You'll find a comprehensive complaint detailing your adultery, fraud, dissipation of marital assets, and emotional abuse. We're seeking the house, full division of all retirement accounts in Mrs. Patterson's name, spousal support, and damages. Damages? What damages? For the emotional distress caused by your systematic betrayal. For the financial harm caused by your siphoning of marital funds to support your extramarital family. For the damage to Mrs. Patterson's health and well-being caused by years of deception. She turned to Jasmine. Ms. Patterson, isn't that interesting? You should know that your father's investment in Mr. Patterson's company may be at risk. There appears to have been significant financial misconduct, and a full audit is being requested. Jasmine's face went from anguish to terrified. What? No, my daddy's money is a matter for another conversation. I suggest you contact your own attorney. The room was in absolute chaos now. People were shouting, crying, trying to leave, trying to stay. Marcus's brothers were yelling at him. His mother was wailing. Jasmine was screaming into her phone. And I stood in the middle of it all, perfectly still. This was what justice felt like. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. I'd served mine at exactly the right temperature. In the weeks that followed the party, my life exploded and rebuilt itself in equal measure. The divorce proceeded quickly. Marcus, faced with overwhelming evidence and the threat of criminal fraud charges related to his financial misconduct, agreed to a settlement that gave me almost everything. The house. The investments. A significant portion of his business assets, which weren't worth much once Gerald Patterson pulled his support. Jasmine's father was furious, not at Marcus, of course, but at Jasmine for embarrassing the family. He cut her off, withdrew his investment, and left Marcus's business to collapse under its own weight. The last I heard, Marcus was living in a one-bedroom apartment in Decatur, trying to rebuild his company from nothing. Jasmine had moved back in with her parents in Savannah, pregnant and alone, her fairy tale in ashes. Did I feel bad for her? Sometimes. She was carrying an innocent child, and that child deserved better than the mess their parents had made. But Jasmine had made her choices, just like Marcus had made his. Consequences were not my responsibility to prevent. My mother moved into my guest room for a few months while I processed everything. We drank wine. We watched old movies. We talked about my father, who'd left her when I was 12 for a woman half his age, and how she'd rebuilt her life from nothing. You're stronger than me, she said one night. I ran. I hid. I was ashamed. Mama, you survived. You raised me alone. You taught me everything I know. I taught you to be quiet. To endure. You taught yourself to fight. You taught me that too. You just didn't know it. 6 months after the party, I stood in front of the mirror in my bathroom, still my house, and looked at the woman staring back at me. She was different. Her eyes were clearer. Her shoulders were straighter. The weight of 15 years of lies had been lifted, and what remained was someone I barely recognized. Someone stronger. The divorce was finalized the week before. I'd sat in the courtroom and watched Marcus sign the papers, his face hollow, his expensive suit replaced by something off the rack. He tried to talk to me afterward, one last attempt at reconciliation, or maybe just at closure. Vanessa. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. But I want you to know, I did love you. In my own way. Your way wasn't good enough, Marcus. I know. I know that now. Do you? Or are you just sorry you got caught? He didn't answer. We both knew the truth. I walked out of that courthouse and I didn't look back. Not once. A year after the party, I received a promotion at work. Senior Vice President of Financial Analytics. A corner office with a view of downtown Atlanta. A salary that made Marcus's best year look like pocket change. You deserve this, my boss said, shaking my hand. You've worked harder than anyone in this company, and you've done it while dealing with more than most people could handle. I smiled. I had good motivation. That night, I celebrated with my mother and a few close friends. The ones who'd stood by me. The ones who hadn't judged, hadn't gossiped, hadn't made me feel ashamed for what my husband had done. To Vanessa, my mother said, raising her glass. Who proved that the best revenge is living well. And publicly humiliating the man who wronged you, my friend Keisha added, grinning. That too, I admitted. That definitely too. We laughed. For the first time in years, my laugh was real. 2 years after the party, I received a phone call that changed everything. Ms. Patterson? This is Dr. Williams from Emory Fertility Clinic. We've reviewed your file, and we believe we may have new treatment options that could help you. I almost hung up. The last time I'd visited a fertility clinic was 6 years ago, after my 5th miscarriage. The doctors had told me my chances of carrying a child to term were almost non-existent. Marcus and I had agreed to stop trying. But Marcus was gone now. And so were a lot of other things I'd accepted as truth. What kind of options? There's been significant progress in reproductive medicine. Given your specific situation, we think a combination of new protocols and advanced IVF techniques could give you a real chance. Not a guarantee, there are never guarantees, but a chance. I sat in silence for a long moment. A chance. For 2 years, I'd told myself I was complete without children. That my life was full enough. That I didn't need to be a mother to be whole. And all of that was true. I was complete. My life was full. I didn't need anything I didn't already have. But wanting something wasn't the same as needing it. I'd like to schedule a consultation, I said. The next year was one of the hardest of my life. Not because of Marcus, he was ancient history now, a lesson learned and filed away. It was hard because of hope. Because of wanting something so badly and not knowing if I'd ever have it. Because of shots and procedures and waiting rooms and phone calls that could change everything or break me all over again. My mother was with me through all of it. So was Keisha, who'd become my rock in the years since the divorce. So was a new friend, a man named David, who I'd met at a work conference and who'd become something more than I'd expected. You know I'll love you either way, he said one night, holding my hand while we waited for a pregnancy test result. Children or no children. Whatever happens, I'm here. I know. But I also know how much you want this. And I want it for you. More than I've ever wanted anything. The test was positive. I didn't believe it at first. I made them run it twice more. But the numbers didn't lie. For the first time in my life, after 6 years of loss and heartbreak and healing, there was a baby growing inside me. My daughter was born on a sunny Tuesday in October, 3 years and 4 months after the party that destroyed my marriage and rebuilt my life. I named her Hope. She had David's eyes and my mother's nose and a cry that could wake the neighbors 3 houses down. She was perfect in every way that mattered and a few ways that didn't. My mother held her in the hospital room, tears streaming down her face. She's beautiful, baby. She's absolutely beautiful. She is. You know what this means, right? I knew. This child was proof that some endings are really beginnings. That betrayal can lead to truth. That strength isn't just about surviving, it's about building something new from the ashes of what was destroyed. David sat beside me, exhausted and overwhelmed and more in love than I'd ever seen him. He'd proven himself in 1,000 small ways over the past 2 years, consistent, honest, present. Everything Marcus had never been. "Thank you," he whispered. "For what?" "For trusting me. For letting me be part of this. For giving me a family I never thought I'd have." I reached for his hand. "Thank you for showing me what real love looks like." When Hope was 3 months old, I received a letter in the mail. It was from Jasmine. I almost threw it away unopened. But something made me sit down and read it, there in my kitchen with Hope sleeping in her bassinet and the winter sunlight streaming through the windows. "Dear Vanessa, I don't expect you to read this. I don't expect you to care. But I need to say it anyway. I'm sorry. Not just for what I did, though I am sorry for that, deeply sorry, but for who I was. For believing the lies. For being willing to build my happiness on your pain. For looking in the mirror every day and convincing myself that what we were doing was okay. My daughter is 2 now. Her name is Faith. I named her that because I lost my faith in everything after what happened, and I wanted to give her a chance to find what I'd thrown away. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. I'm writing because I watched that video of you at the party, over and over, for months. Not the parts about Marcus, I couldn't stand to see those. But the parts about you. The way you stood there. The way you didn't crumble. The way you took control of a situation that should have destroyed you. You showed me what strength looks like. Real strength. And I'm trying, slowly, imperfectly, to find some of that for myself. I'm back in school. Getting my degree. Building something that's mine, not something that depends on a man's promises or my father's money. I don't know if I'll ever be okay. But I'm trying. Thank you for that. Jasmine. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and put it in a drawer. I didn't write back. I wasn't ready for that, might never be ready for that. But I hoped, in some small way, that she would find what she was looking for. The party is in full swing. Not a birthday party this time, a graduation party. My goddaughter, Keisha's daughter Isla, has just finished her undergraduate degree at Spelman. She's going to law school in the fall, determined to become the kind of attorney who fights for women like us. Women who've been lied to, betrayed, underestimated. My house is full of people I love. My mother, still wearing her church hats, now teaching Hope to sing Sunday school songs. David, grilling in the backyard, burning the burgers the way he always does. Keisha, crying happy tears while Isla tries to calm her down. And Hope, running through the living room in her princess dress, 5 years old and already too smart for her own good. "Mama," she shouts, barreling into my legs. "Can I have cake now?" "After dinner, baby." But I want it now. And I wanted a lot of things when I was your age. We don't always get what we want when we want it. She pouts, but there's mischief in her eyes. She knows exactly how to work me. Just like I knew how to work my mama. David comes in from the backyard, smelling like charcoal and failure. The burgers are interesting. I'll order pizza. That's probably wise. He wraps his arms around me from behind, and I lean into him, into this life I never expected and can't imagine living without. You okay? He asks. I'm perfect. You are, you know. Perfect. At least to me. I turn in his arms and kiss him, ignoring Hope's theatrical gagging sounds in the background. 5 years ago, I thought my life was ending. My marriage was a lie. My husband was a stranger. My future was ashes. Now I know the truth, that wasn't the end of my story. It was just the beginning of a new chapter. The party continues around us. Laughter and music and the sounds of people who love each other, who show up, who tell the truth. This is what happiness sounds like.